everybody. Welcome back to the MPF podcast. My name is Brad Nordstrom, owner, operator, Maximum Performance and Fitness in West Fargo, North Dakota.
And I am Levi Nordstrom, college student majoring in communications at NDSU, and I have good news to share to start the podcast.
News?
I aced every class in my first semester at NDSU. Proud to announce, I got an A in my final exam for
Nice.
Persuasion. That was the only one that I was a little hesitant about. But, now I'm on Christmas break.
So does that mean you're going to be on the dean's list?
I don't even know what that is.
Well, I guess not. Oh, what do you got today?
You mentioned last week that nobody drinks Orange Kiss, so I thought I'd grab an Orange Kiss Alani.
I've had them, and I like them. I don't know what the scoop is.
Yeah, it's just like a Fanta, just a little like sparkly, and gives you energy, of course. So yeah, I enjoy it.
Did you fail any classes?
No, well, I got all A's.
You got all A's. Well, that's a 4.0, so yeah, you'll be on the dean's list.
Yeah, well, I just show up, get my work done.
Get your work done, get it done.
That's what I do. But
so we gonna talk about Christmas presents and stuff today, or what? Like our best Christmas, or is that next time?
Unfortunately, we're not going to be talking about that today.
Oh.
But we are going to be talking about bulking and cutting.
Well,
If that
bulking
interests
is
you.
kind of like Christmas Day.
Yep.
Eat whatever you want.
I know bulking and cutting is extremely popular. At least it's popular terminology. I don't know if a ton of people really do it, but a lot of people know what bulking and cutting is. And I really wanted to take a deep dive into, really, is it worth bulking and cutting, especially for like the average person?
Well, I mean, the bulking and cutting that's in the bodybuilding world. I mean, I don't know. Part of me wants to say it's like an old school method per se. For a lot of them, it is tried and true and works pretty well. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting conversation. Let's get into it and see what we can talk about.
We're going to go with just some basic definitions to start.
Gotta have
For
a
bulking
definition.
and cutting, so we kind of understand what we're talking about today. Bulking, you're simply eating a calorie surplus to gain ideally muscle, but there's also going to be some fat included when you're bulking. I mean, that's kind of guaranteed.
So would you say like bulking season for us would be like in the winter?
Yeah, I mean,
Kinda
we're
like a general
hibernating
person?
in a way, like,
We're less active and we just friggin' want to eat whatever. It's kind of like a
Yep.
seafood diet.
Yep.
We talked about that in our nutrition podcast.
Seafood and you eat it, yep. Yeah, I mean, it's basically in the definition, you just eat more calories than you get rid of. Cutting, kind of the opposite, calorie deficit. Your goal is to lose fat while preserving your muscle. So why did this approach become popular?
Well, I mean, definitely in the bodybuilding world, especially, I suppose, if you look back probably to the Arnold Schwarzenegger era and probably maybe even before that, they're the ones that made it popular, the bulking phase per se.
Mm-hmm.
So the theory is to bulk, to add muscle, you need to eat X amount more calories, and you are probably going to add some fat. So if you look at a bodybuilding calendar per se, they've got their scheduled meets, their competitions, which, I don't know, let's just say they're in the spring and the early summer. So then bodybuilders typically want to look good during the summer. And so once they get into the fall and the winter stage, that's when they'll go into their bulking format per se. They're going to have their focus on their protein, but once they've reached that protein goal, they're just going to eat whatever the hell they want to eat after that.
Mm-hmm.
To try to go from, let's say it's a guy who's going to try to go from 250, his competition weight is 250, and he could maybe get up to 300 pounds in the training season, and then they got to cut it back off. That's really where it became popular. I do not think it's as big of a deal now as it was, and if you want me to be brutally honest, I don't think it's as big of a deal now as it was, is because of the drugs that some of the bodybuilders are getting into.
Is it clean?
I would say most of them are not clean. In the
Yep.
professional scene anyway,
Mm-hmm.
most of them definitely are not clean.
Let's talk about the science behind it. Kind of already discussed. I mean, simply surplus, if you're taking more than you're exerting, then you're going to be gaining weight. How it is, obviously.
Yeah. You're taking in more than you need. And the idea is that with the right amount of protein is that you're going to gain muscle mass with that. Obviously, if you're strength training. Now, with that being said, what I think happens for the most part is you're putting on way too much fat, and then when you do your deficit, you're going to end up losing muscle mass. And obviously the goal is not to do that. So the challenge that a person has when they're doing their surplus and deficit is finding that fine line so that they minimize their muscle mass loss.
So why would somebody intentionally eat whatever they see in order to gain muscle growth? Is it more so like all the protein you're intaking helps you gain that muscle? But my thought is like the dirty bulk people talk about, or you kind of really eat anything. What does that really do for you when you're bulking?
Like the dirty bulk?
Yeah, like...
Well, I think that basically what I'm talking about is kind of like the dirty bulking. You get let's say your goal is 300 grams of protein, and you reach that, and the rest of it is whatever the heck you want to eat. And the
Sour Patch Kids.
Gross. That's where you and I differ.
I don't like those, actually.
Oh, you don't?
I don't mind them, but like...
I'm a chocolate guy. I feel like you're not as much of a chocolate guy.
Over the years, I've gone more to the chocolate side, I will say. When I was younger...
But otherwise, you would gravitate to like what are those sweet? I don't know. What is that sweet ones? That non-chocolate. What's your non-chocolate go-to candy?
Because when I think of candy, I think of like Kit Kats and all that stuff. It's like I like the chocolate stuff more so now.
Wasn't there just a box of Sour Patch Kids on the counter at the house?
Yeah, but it's in the pantry, unopened. I didn't open it yet.
Well, I won't be opening it.
It's like I don't really care too much. Honestly, I like some sour things, but I have to be like in the mood to have sour. Laffy Taffy or
like gummy worms, gummy bears. You like those?
Not really, actually.
You're in a predicament if you're eating them. So that's the thing. It's like I feel like the dirty bulking scene is not as much of a deal anymore as it used to be, just because you gain so much fat in the process that your deficit or your cutting phase becomes so drastic to try to reach that goal that it's just not worth it anymore.
Yeah, you're probably not really gaining that much out of it.
I don't think you are. 'Cause, I mean, those people, if they're doing this, they're lifting heavy to try to add that muscle, but my goodness, I think you're better off with the clean bulking per se, and not having to cut as much. I think it's probably minimal difference.
All right, going back to the candy question you had.
Yes, candy.
I finally have my answers. I could finally think of some after I looked up a couple ideas.
Caught you off guard.
Yeah, you did. Nerds.
Oh.
I like Nerds.
Like,
Airheads.
what were those Nerds ones where they popped in your mouth? Were like Airheads or no?
I mean, those are, oh man, what are they called?
You know what I'm talking about, though? They're almost like you eat them and then they pop. I don't even know if they're around anymore, but I thought they were kind of, they're weird.
Actually, I can't remember what they're called, but.
Nerds, that's just like eating rocks, flavored rocks.
Yeah, well.
Pebbles.
Oh, Pop Rocks.
Pop Rocks, there we go.
Jelly beans, I like jelly beans.
Oh.
So those things are, I like those.
So like if you're gonna have jelly beans, now we're really getting off topic. Do you like the Russian roulette?
Russian roulette is in like the one
just
game.
There's a bunch of them in a bag, and you.
Oh yeah,
you
I
don't
like
look
that.
at them. You just go.
I like to go one at a time though, because I like to enjoy the flavor.
I get it.
So if you have multiple at a time, then it's like
then they all blend in. It's like throwing a bunch of pop together in a glass and drinking it.
If you're going to be intaking sugar, you got to at least enjoy it, you know.
It's true.
What were we even talking about?
Well, we're definitely talking about the bulking stage.
Yeah. We're bulking.
And we're not talking about the clean or dirty bulk, and not the lean, clean bulking stage.
Yeah. Now, the science behind the calorie deficit, of course, we talked about it, where you're having less calories than you're intaking, or you're burning more calories than you're intaking. In what ways would you lose muscle mass in that cut stage?
Well, the biggest thing is you're dropping let's say your calorie deficit side of it, and your goal is 2,500 calories, for example. This is a bigger person, and they were taking in 5,000-6,000 calories during their bulking stage. Now you're trying to get them down to that 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day. Let's say you accidentally drop to 2,000. You figure, all right, that 2,500 through exercise and diet, we should be able to maintain and preserve that muscle mass. Mm-hmm. And now, let's say for some reason they decided to do a little extra cardio, or they didn't get as many calories in, and then they had 500 calories less. It's cutting it too fast. If you cut it too fast, that's typically when somebody's going to start losing muscle mass when they go. With some of the bodybuilders that I've known over the years, they are extremely type A. So if you tell them to do a certain caloric model or whatever, they're going to do that.
Mhm.
They're extremely type A for the ones that I've met over the years. I have not trained them. It's not my scene. I'm not really that plugged into the bodybuilding world. I've done a lot of body compositions because they want to know where they're at within their, what's their body fat? Are they getting close? We're 2 weeks out of competition, and am I down to single digits? Am I at 6? Am I at 7? Where am I at? How much more can I drop? That's when I'll see them come around. But I've not done anything with nutrition-wise with them. They've kind of got their own little world of people to work with.
Single digits can't be that difficult if you're doing that as like a profession or whatever, right?
As far as to get to single digits body fat, no. And it's, if I'm going to measure somebody on the in-body scale, typically that one you won't see much for single digits. I mean, with those individuals, I'm doing skin fold measurements, and they're extremely easy to do when you have somebody that's that lean. It's easy to find your landmarks and measurements, and so you can feel pretty confident that, hey, this person, they're at 6%, where the in-body might show them at 10.
Kind of on topic, at what percentage is it unhealthy to like actually live at?
Well, I suppose if you're talking about males, you're in the 5s. You get to that point. You can be there for a little bit, but I don't think you'd want to be there very long. I don't think you'll sleep real well. You'll know. Usually your sleep patterns are off. You're moody. Just mentally you're not there. That person is going to be in an unhealthy state typically, where they're, like I said, I've heard of people getting to 3 to 4, but they're there for a day or 2, and then they'll go back up. Because your typical male body fat, if we're talking in-body scales, right around that average that healthy range is going to be at probably 15 to 20, and that sounds high, but the in-body reads it differently. If we're doing skin folds, 8 to 12 is going to be, hey, this person here is pretty darn lean. You probably can see your abs at that 10 to 12 range. Where on the in-body scale, if you're at that 15 to 18, you probably can see abs, maybe a little bit more. And then female-wise, in-body for females is 25% is your standard that they use. Skin folding, you're probably looking at 15 to 18 is pretty dang lean. If you're getting into that 12-ish and maybe even lower for a female, I think you're going to get into more of an unhealthy range. Especially if you if you stop having your period after a couple months worth, you're going to put your body at some harm.
I think the lowest I was at was like 12% on the in-body or something.
In-body, yeah.
I was pretty darn lean when I was playing football.
That's a lean, and I don't even know, like my in-body last time I did it was still at 20, and I don't feel like I am, but it's
you got to get in the gym.
I think so. But then again, I also put on a couple pounds of muscle too. It must be too much dirty bulking.
Yep.
I need to clean the bulk.
Now let's talk about the pros of bulking. We'll get into the cons later on. Clear goals and structure. I feel like if you have a structure, you got a plan, there are benefits to bulking and cutting.
Well, absolutely, there's benefits to bulking and cutting. It's just that, what are we talking about? If we're talking about dirty bulking, I do believe that's kind of a thing of the past. I don't think that it is as common anymore. I've proven with our in-body scale and doing skin folds that you can gain muscle by increasing your protein intake and strength training, and not having an excessive caloric, having it higher than normal per se. You can lose fat and actually gain muscle mass. I don't think that was thought of a thing back in the 60s and 70s. I think you think, we gotta bulk, and now, we can show you that, you can gain muscle mass and lose fat at the same time.
Especially if you use the proper supplements. So
correct.
That makes it a lot easier.
And these are supplements that are on the counter. You can see them. They're not the behind-the-scenes supplements.
Yeah.
And so you can do that. So it's not as the dirty supplement, the dirty bulking is not. I don't think it's a thing anymore.
I feel like if anything, it's more used as an excuse.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, I can eat whatever the heck I want. I'm in my bulking state. I actually think that's very well said. It's a excuse to eat whatever the heck I want, because I know that I'm going to go through 12 weeks of hell cutting. Well, you don't necessarily have to go through 12 weeks of hell if you do it right. Like we talked, I don't think the excessive bulking phase, you don't need to do the excessive phase to add muscle. Like I said, you can do it with, you get your creatine and your amino acids and keep your protein levels high enough, you're going to gain muscle and lose fat.
when bulking, do you gain muscle faster through that, or do you think it's about similar if you just take your supplements and you watch what you eat and you go lift like a normal
Normal
week?
human being?
Yeah, like a normal week of just staying healthy.
I think that I honestly don't see it as an advantage because you just put too much fat on.
Mm-hmm.
Can you gain more muscle than like a clean bulk? I don't think so. I think it's negligible.
It's not worth the risk necessarily.
I don't think it's worth the risk. Yeah, you got to look at it as risk reward. I think you're gonna spend too much time in misery trying to cut it off than you would have if you'd have just focused on the lean bulking.
I know you mentioned bodybuilders and how they use bulking. How about like the visible results that shows when you're cutting? Is that pretty noticeable because you're all of a sudden dropping all these calories, you're burning all this fat? Is it more aesthetically pleasing if a bodybuilder cuts compared to, let's just say, somebody that's already fairly low body fat percentage?
Here's what I've noticed with any of the bodybuilders that I've dealt with. They are, in my opinion, a lot of them are kind of like inverse anorexics, if that makes sense. You know, when they're going through their big stage, they can't get big enough. They can't look good enough. They're very type A once again. So when they're going through their cutting, and I've seen a couple of them when they were pretty dang lean, and one in particular, I think he was clean, and it was like, wow, that's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And another one probably wasn't clean, and you can kind of tell the difference. But if you were to compare like a competitive bodybuilder, when they are, let's just say, let's not talk about like your national bodybuilding shows. Let's talk about more of the local ones, because you, for the most part, you got to think that they're probably clean and not supplementing behind the scenes, so to speak. They are definitely leaner than the average lean person that I've seen. Is it because of how they strength train? We're not training bodybuilders in here. We're not training powerlifters. We're not training weightlifters. We're training for lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So we're doing all kinds of variations of exercises. And I can think of a couple people in particular that are extremely lean that would be probably higher single digits and not like 5 or 6, but probably like 8 or 9. And it's like, wow, they look pretty damn good. But if you put them beside that other person on the stage, I mean, you would definitely notice a difference. But they're happy with where they're at. It's like, where do you want to be?
Speaking of where you want to be, I mean, we already kind of covered this. Bodybuilding is really like the only spot where I see bulking and cutting as like actually needed. But for the average person, let's say they're not into professional bodybuilding or anything like that, but they do want to bulk and cut for like their physique.
Getting ready.
Do you
for
think
the
that's
beach?
Yeah, do you think that's like a good idea to just like, if somebody wants to get into bulking and cutting, or would you just say, nah, let's just stick to what we've been doing, you know?
Well, I think you should focus on the lean cut, so to speak, where, hey, you know what? We're going to focus on our protein levels here. We're going to get you on your creatine, your amino acids. We'll do some protein shakes, but you're always better with the whole food. Keep the vegetables going. I still don't see a reason why you can't have a little bit of fruit here and there. Make sure we have enough fat in our system. We're still training 4 to 5 days a week, lifting hard, doing our cardio, doing our HIIT style cardio, and then measuring. I would say with guys, I would say we should probably measure every couple weeks. Females, I probably like to maybe go every 4. I've just noticed with females, especially depending on where they are in their cycle, on the in-body, it really kind of can be wonky, and then that throws them into a mental tizzy. So you got to be a little bit careful there. And then just charting your progress. So for the most part, focus on lifestyle changing. And then there's also some certain times where, hey, you know, I'm going on vacation in 12 weeks. I want to look better on the beach. All right, well, guess what? We're going to have to get a little bit more serious here. Or summer's coming. It's going to be lake season. Same thing. Then we're going to have to dial in your nutrition a little tighter than you would on a lifestyle change.
You mentioned eating vegetables. I just want to announce that Puka Nacua claims that he's never eaten a vegetable in his life.
Why is all of a sudden he come? Why is he go through Twitter and all of a sudden he's on there all the time about stuff? What changed? Why is he so?
Well, I just wanted to say that because I thought it was hilarious. Because, like, how have you never had a vegetable? It's not like he's allergic. He just doesn't like vegetables, or he hasn't even tried a vegetable. He says.
What is his nationality? Is he like a Samoan? Is he like
I think so. I think that's what it was.
He may have grown up here, but his
Puka Nacua. That sounds, it's probably a Samoan
His family would be, like I said, he easily could have grew up in the United States, but maybe his culture or his ancestors, because...
So nationality is married because he's born in the U.S., but his heritage is Samoan and Hawaiian.
Ah, that makes sense.
The guy's 6'2", 225. Speaking of 225, he had 225 yards receiving last night and 2 touchdowns, and we're playing against him.
I've seen that. Like, what are the chances?
In fantasy football.
And guess what? We did have him.
Yep. We had him at one point. And I traded him away, but I did trade him for...
Do you remember who we got?
Bijan. So it's like, I don't mind.
We needed a running back. He needed a receiver. Worked out. Too bad we're playing him.
Yeah. So what were we talking about for Puka? I can't remember. Oh, yeah.
Never eaten a vegetable?
Yeah, he's never eaten a vegetable.
Probably.
Yeah. But
probably pineapples.
Yeah.
Pineapples and pork.
And chicken.
Yeah, just think about, like, when we went to that... when we did the luau, you got the pork under the ground. I don't remember much vegetables at that thing, now that you say that.
I mean, there were vegetables.
I'm sure there was.
Yeah. Technically potatoes. That kind of works. I mean, there was broccoli, I think.
I don't remember.
I think it was like cooked broccoli. There was definitely carrots. They weren't cooked. It was just like carrots. It was like a salad bar type thing, I think. So they had.
Oh, yeah. That's for us mainlanders.
But yeah, the whole Puka Nacua thing is kind of interesting. This is way off topic.
That's okay. It's kind of fun to throw a little curveball in there.
Yeah, just to cover that quickly. Yeah, Puka, he was on like a live stream with some like streamer, and they were talking about, I don't even know what they were talking about necessarily.
His satanic cult dance or something?
Something like
what
that.
The hell? I think people are.
But he didn't know. It's kind of tough to. It's kind of tough to fault him if he doesn't know, but that's why you don't do it. Yeah, and then he was complaining about the refs on the stream.
Oh.
And then after the game, he put a tweet out complaining about the refs again. He deleted it like a couple minutes after, but people already seen it in time. So he's going to get fined like $100,000, I think.
So now we're going way off subject. The Rams were up like a couple touchdowns with 7 minutes to go, and they lost the game.
Yeah, I watched the whole second half. I made a TikTok. Couch Football is my TikTok. I'll put it in the description. But
TikTok.
About the game. Yep, TikTok. About the game. And I predicted it to be the best Thursday night football game.
Are you serious?
And they won. The Seahawks won in overtime on a 2-point conversion. That was crazy.
Can you imagine having a quarterback like Sam Darnold
on
your team? That'd be weird.
What an amazing play. I mean, he had 2 interceptions, to be fair, but it was more so the Rams' defense not
a little
stopping
slack.
them. Going back.
What are we talking about?
Going back into the actual topic at hand here. Let's talk about the obvious, the elephant in the room, cons and risks of bulking and cutting. We talked about this a little bit with the fat gain during the dirty bulks. I mean, that's obviously a big concern that kind of defeats the whole purpose of bulking and cutting. We also talked about the muscle loss. But how about the mental burnout from doing this bulking and cutting?
That actually definitely would be a thing, because you think about, all right, if I'm bulking, typically, once again, like I said, a lot of these individuals are pretty type A. So at first, this is pretty awesome. You're eating whatever you want. You're obviously training heavy, having a good time. You're not really doing any cardio, so you're just, getting after it, lifting, and it's going really well until you start to realize, oh man, I put on 15 pounds and I was hoping to only do 10, and so now it starts messing with your head a little bit. When you get to that cutting stage, at first it starts out, and you're starting to notice it looking good, and then it gets mentally grueling those last few weeks because you're at such a deficit, and you just want that Kit Kat again, or those nerds, or we just want that candy, and you can't have it. It's a mind-tugging game, that's for sure. That's where the lean bulking really comes into play. I think you can stabilize your mental health better, maybe throw in a little treat here and there, and you're not going just as intense, so to speak. But that's really, that's your lifestyle people. That clean bulk is important, where, if you're doing competition bodybuilding, you're going to go through some misery for sure.
Yeah, lean bulking definitely mitigates the risk.
Yeah.
We got a word of the day, mitigate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where'd you learn that one in your
TikTok.
TikTok. Weird. TikTok.
No, but the clean bulking definitely helps. You know, the maybe stress that comes with bulking or the anxiety, just because at least you kind of have that fallback of, at least I'm not gaining all of this fat.
Yep.
Like at least I gained 10 pounds, but the majority of it was muscle.
Right. So
it'll be all right.
10 pounds, 8 pounds of it was muscle mass. I mean,
Yeah.
All right. That's good.
So then you can't really get all worked up about it. It's not that big of a difference. But the real challenge, as we've kind of discussed, is the eating tendencies. Dirty bulking, clean bulking. I feel like some people are going to try to go in with a clean bulk and then they kind of lose control. They want those sweet treats all the time. How can you kind of control the eating tendencies when you're trying to do this bulk?
Well, that's where, like, all right, let's pretend here we're talking about like a lifestyle. I don't know if you want to call it a lifestyle cut. I think the thing that you'd want to do is you got to find treats that satisfy your sweet tooth. Because I feel like if you just take and say, I am going to cut out all sugar, I am cutting out all carbs and whatnot, it works for about a week.
Yeah.
Maybe a little longer. And you mentally you start going crazy, and then you go into a dirty bulk without even knowing. You just can't handle it. So I think the big thing would be is to, what can I have as a sweet treat after my meal? And that might be raspberries. I'm going to have some raspberries instead of ice cream, and that might curb that sweet treat.
People forget how good fruits are.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Just a
fruits
piece
are
of fruit.
good. Like, there's still sugar in it technically,
Yeah.
but it's healthier than your cane sugar
Right.
or whatever.
Instead of, I'm not going to have a bowl of ice cream, I'm going to have a handful of blueberries.
Yeah.
And that'll help with that sweet treat, that sweet tooth feeling. Having a little bit of fat in there also helps. You could have a handful of some nuts and help to curb that sweet tooth. So that's probably the biggest thing, is finding substitutions for your sweet tooth.
There's almost a like social norm type situation where people like these candies because they see other people having them, or they're on like the eye level at the the store. People don't remember how good strawberries can taste, like fresh strawberries and apple. Sometimes
When was the last time you had an apple? You don't eat apples, do you?
It wasn't too long ago, actually. Maybe
If
2
you're
weeks
gonna have
ago
an apple,
or
do you
something.
like to cut it or you eat it with?
I just eat it like that. I don't really want to waste time cutting.
You got to try that old
Yeah.
slicer now. It actually works pretty slick.
Just try a piece of like fresh fruit, an apple, an orange, whatever you like, and all of a sudden you'll remember how good they actually do taste.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make you feel bad about yourself after like compared to having like a Kit Kat, you'll be like, oh,
Yeah,
I wasn't trying to eat that. And
But I wish I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I've done that multiple times. I'm an ice cream freak. I love ice cream, and I'll have a bowl of ice cream after supper, and then I'll regret it within 5 minutes. I'm like, God, I really didn't need that. Why did I do that? And I've done it before, where I've went into the fridge and grabbed a small handful of raspberries, and it satisfies my sweet treat. So sometimes I just get stuck in the old ice cream mold, I guess, because I grew up eating ice cream every freaking night when I was a kid.
yeah, my sweet tooth sometimes just gets satisfied by like having a simple protein or granola bar that's like, that has like the little chocolate at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's like, that's better than a Hershey's bar,
Yeah.
At least you're getting something out of it. So it's almost like a way to meet in the middle with yourself. That's kind of how I think of it. It's like if you want to watch your eating tendencies, you still have to make it to where you can stay consistent with it.
Yep.
So try to find a happy medium where you're still satisfied with what you're eating and you don't feel bad about it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Got to find that medium, and it's different for everybody. Got to figure out what works for you, and then just like anything, you got to be consistent with it. You got to stick to it.
Ooh, this is kind of an interesting one. Performance drops during cutting. I think of like lifting in the weight room. You might not be able to lift as much when you're trying to cut. You don't have as much energy. Your calories are lower than you're used to. How does your performance drop while you're trying to cut out this fat?
It actually does drop quite a bit, and that's the thing that it'll drop with. Typically, I mean, And let's say we're talking bodybuilding world because they're excessively cutting. Typically, their cardio is walking on a treadmill. If you want to call it your zone 2 cardio or whatever. They're walking and they're doing incline walks and whatever to not lose so much energy for their strength training. So that way they can still lift pretty hard. So what I've noticed, like if you talk about like a lifestyle cut, those people will still train heavy or still train hard cardio-wise with the HIIT style, and they may not get numbers like they would, whether it's on the Versa Climber or the skier or whatnot. And then lifting-wise, they will drop a little bit, but not as much as if they're in extreme cutting. It's almost like in-season, off-season, pre-season, post-season type thing.
Yeah. Where,
all right, I am working to get to my in-season, and you're training extremely hard. Your nutrition side's really locked in. You're gonna get fatigued a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so then it's like, all right, let's try to, and you might have to bump up your cals a little bit. You'll kind of know.
We kind of talked about long-term, sustaining long-term with, like I said, making sure that you find a happy medium with yourself when you're eating and bulking. I feel like it's also hard to sustain long-term because of the mental aspect. I feel like it kind of ties in with everything. It's hard when you're trying to clean bulk, then you might slip a little bit with the eating. Then when you're cutting, you're kind of struggling right at the ending. It all kind of goes hand in hand when it comes to long term, where I just don't think bulking and cutting is really sustainable for anybody unless they are bodybuilders.
Yeah. It's almost like a sport per se, because let's say right now what we're doing down there it's lifestyle training. You don't have 4 years of eligibility to do this. There's 8 years or whatnot. So typically, like with your example, if you're talking bodybuilding, these guys might do it for 4 or 5 years, maybe a little longer, and then they're not bodybuilding anymore. The hard part, even like just coming in and going to the gym every day, is hard to sustain for a lot of people, even though they know it's important and they know how healthy it is, how much better they feel. It still makes it mentally a challenge. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you get off track. You might have a kid. And you're busy with your kids, and next thing you know, you haven't worked out in 5 years. You may have just finished a sport, whether it's high school or college. It may be burnt you out a little bit, and you're like, I need a break, and it takes you a few years to get back into it. But that's why we kind of talk about the lifestyle cut. That stuff, even that, is going to be kind of a ebb and flow type situation, where just training like it's a lifestyle is, what, you took a look at adults, like, I want to have a beer every now and then. I want to have if you're in a bodybuilding world, you're not drinking during your prep phase and whatnot, where normal humans are like, hey, let's go out and have a beer tonight, go visit. And it's just a social aspect. You don't want to say no. It's like, maybe I'm going to have 1 beer instead of 6 beers, and then maybe have a little bit of whatever. So I think that long-term life cutting is definitely not a thing. But that lifestyle training is like, you just gotta keep going.
So we've already kind of went over how it's not worth it for an average person. The risks outweigh the rewards.
Yep.
I want to talk about something a little bit more entertaining. We've talked about in the past with Liver King, and how he was.
Here we go.
And how he was obviously, taking some under-the-counter supplements. How obvious is it for you to tell if somebody's clean or not clean?
There's not that many people that I've noticed that were on anything when I measured them. I would say a small handful, and I can think of one in particular, and that one was mainly talking about bench press numbers. Mm-hmm. We'd literally go from, I pressed 365 for 4 reps. Or 3 reps or whatever when he's on a cycle, and then when he's off a cycle, it's like, I could only do 275 for 8. That's just strength-wise, but kind of funny you talk about going back to Liver King. I was late to the party on this. Yeah. I didn't really know anything about this guy. I'm not one that scrolls through social media very often, or when I do, it's pretty minimal. And so I had a client talking to me. He's like, you seen the stuff about Liver King? He's like, he eats liver and whatnot, and you should see him. The guy's huge. And he showed me a picture of him. First thing I said, there's no freaking way this guy is not on anything. And, oh, you sure? He says. I'm like, yeah, he is not. I mean, you could just tell by the vascularity of his chest. And the veins are popping and just that look. And it's like, there's absolutely no freaking way. And when it comes out, he was spending over $10,000 a month on his supplements.
Yeah.
Okay.
Must have been some expensive creatine or something.
Oh, his branch chains are impressive.
Yeah. Veins are mainly like genetic, right? Like
What's that?
Like veins.
No.
Like how can you eat your veins to like actually show more?
It's for a lot of it is the leanness in the individual, how lean they are. Like your forearms, there's not a whole lot of fat in there, so when it's warm, it's not exactly that warm in here. Your veins will be popping in your forearms and your main vein going through your bicep. You won't typically see a lot of vein action in the legs unless the person is extremely lean. And then you're like, oh, you can see him popping. You can see him, like, if you see him in the chest, then it's like, to me, it's like, wow, that person's probably on. I've never really noticed any on myself. I'm not extremely lean either. So you got to get pretty dang lean to have veins popping. As far as like structurality as some of how muscles shapes are and stuff, some of that definitely would be genetics.
Interesting. I guess I thought it was more so a genetic thing. Anything else you want to discuss when it comes to bulking and cutting?
I just think the thing is like your dirty bulk is a thing of the past, and like even if you are getting ready for some type of show, I still think you want to do more of a clean bulk. If you're just a lifestyle individual listening to this, it's like I call it a lifestyle cut, and that part of it really depends on where you're at. I mean, is it a vacation coming up that's 8 weeks away that you want to drop 10 pounds for? Then you got to get a little more serious. Is it just being lifestyle change and being healthy? It's, well, I've drink 12 cans of pop a day. Well, let's try to mimic that. Let's drop that down to 6.
12 cans?
Well, I'm telling you, there's some people out there that can about guarantee they go through a 12-pack of pop a day.
Wow.
So you're like, well, we probably should cut that in half. And I drink, probably would have been more safe to say 12-pack of beer a night, because I guarantee you there are people that do that. Well, we need to cut that down to 6. And I think that's, if you call it a lifestyle cut, that's just a lifestyle. Like, we need to make some changes, and you will drop fat weight. So that part of it is what I think people need to focus on, especially if we're talking the average, because I'm definitely not a bodybuilding expert. If somebody's listening that's a bodybuilder, wants an aspiring bodybuilder, they need to seek out the bodybuilding community, because that's not what I do. I focus more on the lifestyle aspect of it. And Liver King was definitely on behind-the-counter supplements.
Yeah, well, he officially admitted to it.
That's true.
I think he's in jail now.
He might be.
He was.
I mean, that's like the stuff he was doing was like that was pretty wild. And then you're basically telling the public that you are clean as a whistle, and all you got to do is eat raw liver. I don't think so. And then you show the kids eating that in that documentary. Like, what the? You got some mental challenges. He's defrauding us.
Boy, yeah. He was originally arrested in Texas in June for making terroristic threats against Joe Rogan.
Oh, that's right. Because Joe Rogan called him out.
Yeah.
Weird. I'm pretty sure. Hey, think Joe Rogan listens to our podcast?
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, so we have, in a way, debunked bulking and cutting, at least for the average person. We hope this helped you guys understand bulking and cutting a little bit more. Sometimes it can get a little confusing on really the purpose of bulking and cutting, the pros and the cons. But make sure you guys subscribe to the MPF podcast. Of course, we are here to give you guys good fitness advice every Sunday. Make sure you guys like this video if you enjoyed, and put a comment below of any questions you have. And we will see you guys in the next one.